It ain't easy being a man these days. Hard to even say for sure what a man is. A provider, a lover, maybe even a hero. One thing's for sure. A journey towards being whatever a real man should be doesn't need to be done alone. The Gentlementor are here to help you navigate that, so you never have to go alone.
Bingo, bang.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gentlementor podcast.
Bam, bam,
My name
bam.
is Mark, and I am here with my good pal Doug. And we're so
That's
grateful
me.
that you joined us. We're just a couple of guys who just get together and we chat about stuff.
Just some
but-
cats.
Yeah, just some guys. We sit and we have a dram and we
bet.
talk about things. We've also got a community of people all over the planet
Global community.
Global
that's
community
what we can offer you, the
that
intimacy
we
of global
love.
community.
and we want you to be a part of. And some of the things on here that we talk about, we just want to help you in life so that you can win the game, so that you can win the race. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And right now, we're just talking about the Gentlementor being your change agency. We're the
Yeah,
agency
well,
for
kinda,
change.
Yeah, but it's not really that we're the agency. Change is the thing that you're going to do, and agency really is a different meaning, because agency also means it has to do with your will.
Right.
You
Right.
have to want to change, and that's
Right.
ultimately what everyone will tell you when they want to start talking to you about change. Do you want to change? Do you really want to change?
Right.
Well, here's the matter of fact. Get ready for change. Doesn't matter if you want to change or not, because life is going to throw changes at you. If you ready yourself with daily acts of discomfort, let's call it that. Like for me, it is like weights and working out, and that's my daily discomfort. That prepares me for any other discomfort that comes my way that day. I'm pre-discomforted. I've already kicked myself out of comfort.
I like that.
I got up earlier than I wanted to, and I got in a shower I didn't want to get into. And like I said, there was exercise and all kinds of icky things that I didn't want to do. But now, when that's all done and I sit down with that cup of coffee, it's like now.
It's a whole different day.
Doesn't mean there won't be discomfort, but it means I'm ready. I've been tenderized. So when it comes to I'm ready, you got to be ready to move. Last year, we were in a different situation than we're in this year. And it ain't even last year. We stopped doing this. We took our pause, 6 months ago? Something like that.
Yeah.
The changes didn't stop coming. A lot of the reason that we weren't making podcasts is because changes kept coming.
Yeah.
We talked a lot in the last season. We talked about my nephew Guy. One of the first things that happened shortly after we got back from the road trip is he died. I think right before we left on the road trip, Kim had passed away. Your sister.
My sister.
And then, I can't remember the exact date, but then your mom has passed away since then. And it's been one, and those were just like the headlines. You know, it's not like there wasn't any other drama on lower levels.
Right.
That's just the CNN breaking news of what we've gone through, and it wasn't a matter of hey, do you want to change?
No one asked me. No one asked me if
No.
you're like, hey, we're going to change things up a little bit. If it's okay, we're just gonna do away with your mom and sister, and you're gonna live your life without them.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can we talk about this?
Oh,
No,
wait,
it's already
not
done.
gonna be
Sorry.
that clean and easy.
And also, we're also going to give you your nephew to be able to raise your mentally challenged nephew to be able to raise.
I can't recommend that highly enough.
Yeah. So yeah, change comes, and and it comes in different forms. And you've probably been, you especially, Doug, you've been in the job position. I know that there was some changes made that made
Always.
you very uncomfortable.
Always.
Me as well. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all go through that kind of stuff. And I think it comes down to about how we roll with change. I think there's so I'm gonna bring up this perhaps discovery that we have. Perhaps there are two different types of changes. So there are two types of changes. There is what are we going to call it? Involuntary change, which are changes that you can't control, because there are things in your life that you can't control. And then there are changes that you want to make. There are voluntary changes that we desire to make. And then I would also put in that category a subcategory of changes that we should make that we are very reluctant to, or just completely recommended, or we're completely oblivious to the fact that those changes need to be made in our lives.
Yeah.
So you got those two things. that happened to us. And I think we want to address both of those. We want to help. We want to help men be a little bit better at rolling with the change that comes with them that they cannot change. You cannot affect the change. Stuff just happens to us in our lives, and we have to. Everything is about your response, right? Everything is
Yeah.
about how you respond to what happens. And so, and then the other thing is just changes that we need to make, and we'll probably get into that later in some episodes about changes that we want to make, because we want to be better, physically. We want to be better lovers. We want to be better fathers. We want to be whatever the things that we have in our hearts that we want to change. We want to talk about those as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
two
And I
different
think,
kinds of changes.
yeah, I think it all starts back at ground zero, square one, whatever you want to call it, where you have to.
And where is that?
Well,
Where is that
what
ground
we've
zero?
Let me cover where we
Okay, all right.
previously said
Previously,
about
previously on the
change is
Gentlementor.
going to hurt. It's
Yes.
going to be uncomfortable. Before you can ever begin that journey, you've got to embrace that. You can't just go, "Oh, change is uncomfortable and it's going to hurt." You can't go, "Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable." You got to embrace it. And I don't know a better way to describe it other than we talked before. We used the word sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
I pray, because of being a person of faith, a POF.
I like that. Is that what we're doing instead of the fish symbol? We'll just do a POF. Yeah. Okay.
I believe, and that everything I do has the potential to be worship, and that's my first worship of the day. It's the surrendering of myself. That's biblically where worship begins. It says that first worship is offering yourself as a living sacrifice.
Mm.
And when I go in even to exercise, I commit it to God. I stop myself, and I don't just go, yeah. It's all to you. And I go, no. What was the word before that you used? The Zach word. We'll have to pay him again if we use it. Intentional. I'm intentional about doing that.
Pay Zach for that word. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, that too. Make sure he gets his royalty, because every time we say intentional, he gets 1/4 of a cent.
1/4 of a cent.
One quarter of a cent.
Of
So
all the
he's up to half a cent.
loads of money that we're making. No, I think you're right. I think intentionality is, well, I think I want to go back to what you were saying about preparing your heart, preparing yourself to be ready for change, and being a sacrifice. Hey, who is the hero in the movie? In any movie, who's the hero? It's the one who sacrifices themselves. And that's really what we all want to be. We all want to be the hero in our own story. I do.
And
I want to be the hero in my
understand,
family.
that's exactly what this is. That is exactly what this is, because you are sacrificing for you and by you. This is going to hurt. Embrace it, because for the first time in your life, maybe you're going to hurt you, but you're going to do it in a good way for a good purpose. It's not running yourself down, and it's not causing yourself grievous bodily injury. It is doing a difficult thing and toughing it out and saying, I'm going to do this for me, because here's the secret of life, or one of them, is that you can't love without sacrificing. Now, get ready, Whitney Houston, because learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. And if you don't love you won't sacrifice you for you. Put that on a t-shirt and sell it.
Now hold on a minute. Stop the press. What you said right there, if you don't love you, you won't sacrifice. There are, if we go and talk about the teachings, and we talk about we're men of faith, we're not going to push our faith, but we do talk a lot about, the teaching of Jesus.
When I'm talking about where I come from, you better believe, and I expect the same of you.
but
I ain't trying to make nobody be that. That's just who I am.
When Jesus was challenged about what is the most important commandment, he mentions 2 commandments, and we've always talked about those 2 commandments. So basically, Jesus takes all 10 commandments, which were previously condensed from all 516. My Jewish friends, I'm sorry, I don't remember, 618. I don't
right
remember
in the comments below.
Somewhere there. Please tell us how many. I apologize. I don't know exactly how many laws there were. They were condensed to 10 in the book of Leviticus, Exodus, the book of Exodus. So that we learned those when we were a kid, and then later Jesus comes in and says he was asked, what's the most important commandments, and he said he condensed them down to 2: love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Which I have always thought that's actually 3 commandments. because you cannot love someone else if you don't already love yourself.
Right.
Now,
Not
loving
instead of,
God is
not better
important.
than.
Right. Now,
God
we're not talking
first.
about, right. We're not talking about I'm better than you, Doug, or any of that. It's just like I care for me. I want to be successful. I want to be healthy. I care for me. And then that's the basis of knowing how I can love my neighbor, how I can love my fellow man, you, other guys in our community. That's how we do it. That's the basis of it.
Recognize, man.
So,
I mean, the Bible
yeah.
says it, that you can't have blessing and cursing coming out of your mouth at the same time. You can't say you love God and you hate your brother. Well, that works if you, okay, well, you can't say that you love your neighbor and hate yourself.
Yeah.
Just like you can't hate your neighbor and love yourself. It's an impossibility. If God who is love dwells in your heart.
Right. So, if you're looking to make a change, if anybody is out there looking to make a change, let's take a look at what you think and feel about yourself. What's your take on yourself? Do you like yourself? The assessment. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah. Let's just take a self-assessment.
No
How do you feel about yourself? Because I think that's a great place to start. It's like how you feel about yourself. I mean, a lot of times guys just don't feel loved. They don't feel appreciated. They feel alone. And we don't want that. That's why we're trying to build this community to help them. But yeah, take a look at yourself. That's a great place to start. What do you feel about yourself? Do you have a lot of negative thoughts about you?
Woo! Come on, somebody.
Let's not dwell on the negative thoughts. Let's dwell on the positive things. Let's dwell on your strengths. Now, yeah, we all have weaknesses, and it's good to know your weaknesses. It's good to know your failures, but I think it's also good to know, hey, I have something to offer. I think we all do. My son said something the other day that just completely floored me. I almost wanted to stop the car.
He does that from time to time.
I know. I wanted to stop the car and make him get out because I was talking to him about people.
You should always go with those feelings.
I know. Get out. You're out.
It's a good life lesson for him.
Yeah, it's drop a 14-year-old on the side of the highway. We were talking about somebody, and I don't remember. I remember who it was. I won't say who it was. We were talking about somebody, about their attitude towards other people, their inability to say thank you in the most simple things, and to be grateful and that kind of thing. And I was just, I'm driving, but I'm just, thinking, I'm throwing my hands up in a way. I'm still driving, so I'm being safe, but throwing a hand up. I'm just throwing a hand up going, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do about this person. And he said something to me that's just like, it just made me want to stop the car and let him out. It was like, he just said, Dad, I don't think anybody is a lost cause. I think everybody has something to offer. They just need to weed through all the junk that stands in the way.
Go get him and put him in the car and take him back to wherever it was.
And leave him.
Leave him.
And leave him there.
You can tell him I wasn't going to do this, but Doug said I had to do this.
And I was just like, I just remember, that's enough. Get out. I don't want to hear that anymore.
Thanks.
How uncomfortable that was for me, but it makes me go, it makes me go, yeah, nobody is a lost cause. So if you're listening today, you're not a lost cause.
Yeah. Is that the close? I feel like that should be a close.
No, we're not. I'm not ready to close. Or close.
Oh, okay.
Or cause.
Well,
or
I didn't
close,
want to go
or
into
whatever.
the next. I got another big thing I want to do, but
Go for it. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Like
Next
another
big
episode.
thing.
Then.
Nope. Because you got a few minutes here, so you may hit this big thing, and then we can leave a cliffhanger for the next one. Are you ready? I'm ready. Go ahead.
So assessment. I've had the opportunity in the past few months to visit with some of our listeners, like via social media, like have prolonged, protracted conversations with people.
Which we love, by the way. Which we love.
It's great. Yes. And you find if you do it that you actually get a response from a real person. It's not just an auto thing and sign up for a mail list and give us some money and go to Patreon.
It's actually a conversation that we're having.
Yeah. And people, I think, are mostly surprised to find out that's what it is. But I've struck up a few new. That's how we strike up friendships with people, is having conversations, whether we do it here, there, whatever. And I think the first part of assessment is this, because I keep trying to think around assessment, because everybody says, okay, if you really want to change, you got to really. It's beyond one to change. Like I said, you've got to. If you can't surrender yourself to the aspect of sacrifice and discomfort, you're not ready to even start the next part of the thought process.
Right. Yeah.
And the next part of the thought process is that assessment. It's that, counting the cost and building your barn stuff. But it's not done in traditional economics because the whole experience of change is, man, this will sound cliche and stupid. It's a journey. And you don't know before you start what's really going to change about you. And you don't know what things you're going to find along the way that you're going to want to change. And you don't know what things you're going to find along the way that you're going to like about yourself. Because that's part of the assessment is some of the stuff you're going to go, no, I actually like that. But what happens as you change these little things one at a time, you build the momentum towards change. And it becomes easier and easier to do. But before any of that begins, ask yourself, what do you need to change? Because if the answer is nothing, and everything that needs to change is someone else, you are not ready for the next step in the journey.
No.
And I say that because this is a big problem.
Yes.
If you've got problems all the time and all your stories have bad endings and nothing ever goes right, and it's always because of something somebody else did, prepare a mirror. Because that's not the truth.
There is
something going on. The truth is that you are doing something that is perpetuating that situation. That's all it is. And until you can look yourself in the eye and deal with that truth, again, maybe a different podcast. Maybe this one's not for you. At least not this part.
If it's not for you, it's okay. If you want to back out now, it's not too late. It's not too late. We still love
there's nothing, and people throw around words like there's podcasts that I've had, like conversation with other podcasts. We have a lot of other podcasters that we talk to and stuff. And one of their premises, and they have a man-centered podcast, is for men to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. I'm like, I disagree. I don't think men should be vulnerable. I think men should be transparent.
And okay,
but transparency deals
let's park
with
on that. Okay. Let's unbox that. Let's unbox that. What does it mean to be unboxing? Here we are. We're going to unbox this. What does it mean to be vulnerable?
They're so huge on YouTube. They do so many unboxing videos.
I know. It's important. So put this in the hashtag unboxing.
Tell smart guy. It says it's walking home. When he's
we got an unboxing video. Yeah, this is our first unboxing video. Except we're going to unbox an idea.
Okay, let's unbox this idea. Transparency and vulnerability.
There it is. Vulnerability. So tell me, Doug, let's unbox this. What's the difference between transparency and vulnerability?
The longest unboxing video ever. So transparency deals with honesty.
Okay.
Which deals with integrity. You should always be honest because honesty maintains your integrity.
It's your character.
You trust yourself.
Your credibility.
If you lie, the first person that knows, and maybe the only person that knows, will be you.
Mm-hmm.
And it will wear on you. It will have an effect unless your conscience
what that
is
does
dead.
To your character. Yep.
That will destroy your character. It will destroy your self-image, which is what we were talking about before.
Agreed.
So honesty. Not being hateful to yourself, but being honest.
Honesty is where we want to be.
Vulnerability. A lot of times we default to hatefulness to ourselves because it excuses us. I feel so horrible about myself that I'm just incapable of change. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Switcheroo. It's a spin. Mm-hmm. So don't fall for that trap. Don't be mean to yourself. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to be gained by beating yourself or staring into the abyss. It's a waste of time. Be honest and look at yourself. Be transparent, especially in front of yourself.
Right.
Be transparent in your meaning. When you speak to people, be clear about what you have to say. Be transparent. Don't make people guess or wonder or take hints.
Right.
Now, why is vulnerability bad? Because vulnerability is what animals do when they fear. Being vulnerable is laying on your back and showing your soft underbelly and saying, please don't hurt me. It's showing your weakness.
Right.
This is my weakness.
Right.
Now, don't misunderstand me, because it's not about what you think it's about. It's about undermining your own character.
Yes.
If you've examined yourself honestly, you know what your weaknesses are. And just like you don't need to beat yourself up in private, you don't need to flagellate yourself in public. You don't need to spank yourself. Sorry, not fart, but, beating yourself.
Listen, and if you don't know what your weaknesses are, you do not spend enough time
in the mirror
analyzing yourself
with
and
the
looking
man
back
in the mirror.
Yes. We're
Sorry,
going
I
to
had
start with some
no
change,
voice.
Michael.
Yeah.
I really, we've got a great intro to the show, but I really wanted The Man in the Mirror to be the theme song, but I knew we just couldn't pull that off. It would have been really great. So instead, we settled for Sam Elliott.
It's Squeaky Bono.
Squeaky Doug, Squeaky Doug.
Oh man.
No, I think here's a couple of things that helped me to be a little bit to gain some perspective about myself. I will often sit down and on a weekly basis, hopefully, and sometimes on a daily basis, and just review the week or the day. How did I do? I want to review that. In the NFL,
Check the game tape.
in most sports, they review the game because they look for your weaknesses. They look for what you did not so well and what you did well, because you want to repeat those things. You want to create habits of the things you did really well, but the things you did not do well, the things that hurt other people, hurt yourself, you want to kind of get those out of that. But you can't do that unless you view the game tapes. You have to view the game tapes. Reflection. Here's a great way to do that, and this has helped me immensely. I have taken on my whiteboard over here, and I've drawn.
Is it where you squat down with a hand mirror, or is this a different thing?
This is completely different. It's a whiteboard, nothing to do with a mirror. So I'll draw a timeline of my life, and starting after I graduate high school, and I'll hit these key points. What are these big things in my life? Job change, getting married, having a kid, blah 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 blah. And you can plot these things on your timeline, and you look back, especially, and I think this is good to do, especially now. Here we are in the new year, and I think it's a good opportunity now to do
Happy
that
New Year
for 2022 is to look back and go, okay,
23.
No, we're looking back.
Looking back at 20.
We're looking back.
Sorry.
Take 2022, draw you a timeline and go, okay, what are the big major changes? How did I deal with this change? Did I do okay with this change? Did I hate this change? My job changed. I had to change positions. I had to leave the job. I had whatever. I lost a loved one. How did I manage those changes? That's a good way to just look back and take an assessment of yourself and go, okay, what are the things? How did I deal with it? Now you're looking at the game tape. You're looking at the footage.
Yep.
Of the last year or the last 6 months or whatever you want to do, the last week or today, for all that matters.
And honestly, I think most of us are going to do that anyway. But this is, again, a good way to be intentional and make sure that what you're thinking about yourself is at least constructive.
Yeah.
And not destructive.
Right.
You're going to do the same thing and lay there in bed and pick on yourself about it. Because if you are, then you could be doing the productive way instead of the destructive way. You could be constructive with the same time and energy instead of destructive. But you got to be that first word. Here comes another quarter penny for Zach. Intentional. There you go.
Intentional.
Big bang. Boom.
Got to be intentional.
Simply intentional.
Come on, Robert. Sing it for me. I like it. Well, that's a good place to say, hey, thanks for joining us this week. Love that you did. If you're ready to make a change, one thing that you could change is set aside some time every week to listen to this podcast, because we're really here for you. Man, that's a change. And connect with us. You like that? It's good.
I do.
Connect with us. We want to hear from you. Hit us up on Instagram.
You know
it. Hit us up on TikTok. Hit us up on the YouTube, on the BitChute.
We're on TikTok.
Yeah, we're on TikTok.
Funny.
We're big time now. Yeah. So, hit us up. We'd love to have a conversation with you and talk more about how we can help you, because, when you win.
For sure, good buddy.
When you win, we win. That's all that matters.